Dogworks Radio is sponsored by Alaska Dogworks. Check out their website at alaskadogworks.com.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by First Paw Coffee Company, specializing in private label premium blend coffee. If you're serious about coffee, you should check it out. First Paw Coffee's passion is high-quality, small-batch roasted coffee. They take the extra time to taste and get everything perfect before they release new blends. They aim to bring you a cup of happiness each time you pour yourself some coffee. Find out more at ak.dog/free and enter for a chance to win some First Paw Coffee prizes, a book from our collection, and tote bag. One winner will be selected at random each month. That's ak.dog/free.
From First Paw Media, sponsored by Alaska Dogworks Professional Canine Training Center in Anchorage, Alaska. This is Dogworks Radio, committed to families and their dogs to build lifelong and fulfilling relationships. Visit our website at dogworksradio.com. Now here are your hosts, Robert and Michelle Forto.
Hello and welcome, everybody. This is Robert Forto, and you're listening to Dogworks Radio here on KVRF 89.7 in the Mat-Su Valley. RadioFreePalmer.org is our live streaming site, and you can find all of our episodes over on dogworksradio.com. And be sure to check us out on social media by searching Dogworks Radio. And today we have a couple special guests. We have them calling in, and they're going to talk about a very cool topic. It's something that is near and dear to me for sure. It is Jim Nelson and Rene Agredano. I'm sure I messed that up. I apologize, Rene. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great, and no, you didn't mess that up. Thanks.
Yeah, just fine. Thanks.
Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. I know you reached out to me a couple of weeks ago. You guys just wrote a new book. But before we jump into that, Jim, can you go first? Introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you're all about, and then Rene follow, please.
Sure. I'm Jim Nelson, and in 2006, we had a business, and we were workaholics, and we had our first dog who was just our soulmate, and he was our chief fun officer of the business, and he ended up getting cancer, and he lost a leg. There was an amputation, and we were at a point in our business where we decided it was best to enjoy the rest of his life with him. He was 8 years old. So we decided to sell everything. We hit the road in an RV to travel the country together with him after he lost a leg, and he ended up living 2 years. But during that time, we started off and we kind of started a little blog to share his story, and then we got all kinds of questions from people by email. So I started discussion forums and then added a live chat, and now Tripawds.com has become the largest online support community for three-legged pets and their people. We have a nonprofit foundation that helps pay for amputations and rehab for dogs, and we have videos and our own Tripawd Talk radio podcast and all sorts of resources about pet amputation for cats and dogs.
And I'm Renee. I'm the other half of Tripawds, and Jim pretty much explained everything. We just decided to start this little blog to share what was going on with Jerry, because we were so impressed at how well a three-legged dog could adapt that 12 years later, here we are with Tripawds as our labor of love that we spend most of our afternoons on. And if you had told us that 10 years ago, we would have said, no way, are you kidding? But we are so passionate about letting people know about the care and feeding, if you will, of three-legged animals that it's what we do.
It sounds like a really great story, one that can provide a heck of a lot of inspiration. As a dog trainer for 25 years, I guess now, I have trained only a handful of the Tripawd dogs, but from what I recall, man, they can get around just like any other dog, can't they?
That's true. And the reason our community exists is because dogs adapt and overcome pretty quickly. They'll hop out of the hospital the next day without a leg and realize I need to live with this now. And this is how life is now. But the people, they don't always cope so well. You know, they panic, they Google it, they find Tripawds, and there's discussion forums and a live chat with people who have been through it before to help support them emotionally.
Right, right. Renee, if I could ask you the next question, and we're going to sort of
Sure.
form a basis here about the tripods and how they are part of everybody's life. But you had said, I believe you said the dog's name was Jerry. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so you said that Jerry had cancer, and it, I assume, was in his leg there, and it had to be amputated. So first off, is cancer the biggest cause for the reason for these amputations, other than extreme accidents or something like that? And then secondly, does the dog have any difference in terms of bounce back if it's a right leg or a front leg or a back leg?
Those are some great questions. And yes, you hit the nail on the head. The majority of people join our community because of some type of cancer that affects the limb. So our Jerry had a bone cancer called osteosarcoma, but we have members join because of soft tissue sarcomas, which happen in the joint or in the muscle. And just a whole array of cancers that can cause an animal to lose mobility to the point where there's no salvaging that leg. It has got to come off. So that's the first reason why people join us. And then accidents are the second. Dogs jumping out of the back of pickup trucks because they're not restrained in any way. Tiny dogs falling off of tables. That's a really common situation, or getting stepped on. And then dogs getting shot. Unfortunately, dogs out in the country, some people, they just, they're
kicked
mean.
by a horse.
Right.
Yeah. So those are the reasons why. And then what was that?
Front or back?
Oh, front or back? Yeah, sorry about that. Front or back? That is a great question. And in the past, we used to always say that dogs had it harder on the front because they carry the majority of their weight up there. They've got their head and their neck, and they do carry 60% of the weight in the front. So in the short term, they do have more challenges learning how to move around. But in the long run, now that we've had a rear-legged tripod for close to 11 years, we can see that they have their challenges too. Each type of tripod dog will usually confront osteoarthritis much sooner than a four-legged dog, and they're more prone to certain types of injuries. So really, we just like to say, it doesn't matter what kind of leg your dog is missing. The important thing is to be really careful with the activity and monitor them closely.
Jim, let's go back just for a second to the cancer. I know a lot of pet owners are having to deal with this. I think it's the most common cause of death in dogs, and it happens at all ages, whether they're 2 or 3 year old juvenile dogs all the way up into the geriatrics. But I don't know a heck of a lot about it myself. Even with all the sled dogs that we've had, I think only 1 or 2 has ever come down with cancer. But is it very hard to detect? With people, you go in to get a blood test, and they tell you your white cells are out of whack or whatever, and then the next thing you're taking chemo or radiation or whatever. Is it very similar with dogs, or is it a much more complicated process to not only find out about but also treat?
Well, it is hard to detect unless you know what you're looking for. And back then, we didn't even know dogs got cancer. So if people are more aware of what to look for and the signs to identify cancer in their dogs, and that can help, identify it sooner, which can help, extend the prognosis. So one thing we like to say is, always be feeling your dog and looking for lumps and bumps. And if you find something, do something. If you see something, do something is one of the common phrases out there. And, keep an eye on lumps, get them aspirated to make sure they're not cancerous. And if they are, do something right away, because that can, again, extend the prognosis.
Other symptoms, like for Jerry, it was a persistent limp that didn't go away. And he was an awfully young dog to have osteoarthritis. That limp is something that is we see it in so many members where their dog will be limping on and off for weeks, sometimes months. And vets automatically assume that it's some type of injury or arthritis. And that's fine, but it's really important to stay on top of that and make sure that you're getting the right diagnostics to make sure it's not anything more than a limp, which hopefully it isn't.
They're so good at hiding their pain that it's kind of difficult to notice. And we trusted our vet, who kept saying, oh, he's getting old, it's arthritis, try this different NSAID pill. And that went on for almost 2 months until a vet tech said, you need another opinion. And that is the biggest thing you can do, is get another opinion. And the family vets are great, but they're not oncologists and they're not board certified surgeons in most cases. So a good vet is going to say, I don't know. And that's what our second vet did, was said, I don't know, you should go to Davis. And that's where we find out what the cancer was and how to deal with it.
So earlier you learned about First Paw Coffee Company, and now I'm going to tell you about its Tail Wagger Blend. First Paw Coffee Company's Tail Wagger Blend is their first offering, and its name and label were crowdsourced from their Facebook fans. How cool is that? The Tail Wagger Blend is a private label premium blend that was developed just for them. It is a medium roast from Colombian beans with tastes of Brazil nuts, grapefruit, and oak. Be sure to go to ak.dog/free and enter to win a bunch of cool prizes. That's ak.dog/free.
So is the bone cancer with Jerry, is it pretty slow acting? And I assume that it probably is, if it can be thwarted by an amputation. Or is it one of those types of cancer, if you don't catch it early enough, even a month or two can really make a difference, where it can just spread so quickly that it's too late?
It really depends on the type of cancer. Jerry had osteosarcoma, which is a really aggressive bone cancer. The problem is that most dogs will hide their pain for so long while the tumor is growing inside one of their limbs, that by the time you get to the diagnosis point, oftentimes the cancer has already spread to the lungs, which is the next place that it goes. Usually, though, it's such a minute kind of spread that doctors are still really good with amputating, because they know that they can buy at least 6 months to a year of life for the dog. So the prognosis sucks. It's usually like, we can amputate, but you're going to get 6 months to a year. But sometimes dogs will go way past that. So yes, it's an aggressive cancer, but if you can get rid of that bad leg, you get rid of the pain, and you buy some time with your dog. Other types of limb cancers are a lot more slower growing, like the soft tissue sarcomas. Those, they can go on for years, and vets can even try to resect some of the tumor. Some of them will do it a few times before there's just nothing left to resect, as far as, or skin, as far as the skin goes. If there's not enough of that left, they're like, well, we got to take the leg. So sometimes the diagnosis can go on years and years before amputation, and other times it's just days.
Real quick,
Right.
Rene said something really important there, and that was, I forgot what I was going to say. But basically, what it boils down to is the amputation will not get rid of the cancer, but it will get rid of the pain. So by removing the pain, it all comes down to quality of life, not quantity. You may not, the first thing people say is, how long does my dog have? When the dog's actually thinking is, how good is today going to be? So it's all about the quality, not quantity of life. And cancer amputation will remove the pain, not necessarily the cancer.
And, that is a topic that we're going to talk about, living in the now, in just a second. You just brought up a great point there, Jim, and I'm sure we'll segue into that. You had mentioned, either one of you guys, please answer. You had mentioned that typically the dog is just fine, even a day or two after the surgery for the amputation, but a lot of your contact are from the worried owners who, don't know how to deal with a dog now with 3 legs, or, they're worried about it getting hurt after the fact, and so on. How do you console these folks, or how do you give them advice, other than just kind of anecdotal advice from what you've done? Everybody wants their dog to be okay. They don't want them to be in pain. They want to have the best quality of life. But how can you ensure that to these people that are really freaked out at this really worrying time?
Well, we do our best to let them know, hey, we understand exactly what you're going through. We were in your shoes at one point. And first we try to calm their fears and let them know, hey, if you've got some serious medical-related questions, those are best sent over to your vet, because we're here for the emotional support. And what we can tell you about the emotional side of recovery is it's always harder on us than it is on them. And if you look at your dog when they're recuperating, they're going to be sleeping and laying around a lot, but they're not going to be crying that they lost a leg. They're not going to be regretful that you made that decision for them. They really just want to feel better. And so we tell people, follow your dog's lead. I mean, if you set the tone for the recovery and it's a positive and optimistic one, your dog will follow you. If you are anxious and nervous, your dog's going to be anxious and nervous. So the best way that you can have a good recovery together is to just stay as optimistic as you can, keep the naysayers away, because you will run into them. I ran into a few myself, and just follow your vet's instructions. Make sure your dog has really good pain management. That is huge. You really, really want to keep that pain under control the first week or so. And it should be a little smoother than you expect. That's what we all hope for. And in the meantime, we're here to help. If they have questions about when's my dog going to poop, or why isn't my dog eating, they can come to our discussion forums, our chat room. They can call our helpline and ask, and we can share some tips with them. So we kind of we walk people through it. And what we love is when 2 weeks later they say, oh my gosh, my dog is back to his usual self, and we just do a little happy dance. It's always so good to see, and we see that more often than not.
That's awesome, guys. I'm so happy that you guys are out there doing that work. And part of your work is the Tripawd Foundation, and that's spelled TRIPAWDS Foundation, and we're going to put a whole bunch of links and stuff on your show page. But you had mentioned that you can help provide financial assistance for folks that are going through this, and I'm sure you guys are very well aware, and probably most people that are listening, that the cost of vet care is often a big factor in what type of treatment that dog will get for whatever illness or injury. Often that is one of the first questions that pet owners ask the vet in that very trying time. Can you tell us about the foundation and how folks go about either applying or getting approved for that, and maybe give us a little example or a small example of what a surgery like this costs? Is this a really expensive surgery compared to other types of vet services, et cetera?
So first of all, thanks for asking. I really appreciate that. We created the foundation primarily to help keep tripawds.com free. There's so many valuable resources there, and we host more than 1,600 blogs now for free. So the foundation helps pay for all those free resources available. But then as donations increased, two of our primary programs we really promote are the Rehab Fund, which is a rehab reimbursement fund. We strongly encourage anyone with a three-legged dog or cat to get their animal evaluated by a certified rehab practitioner, just to get the facts about weight management and learn exercises they can do to help protects those remaining limbs. So we will pay for the first visit for anyone who takes their tripod to a rehab vet. The other program we offer twice a month is our ASAP program. That's an amputation surgery assistance program, and that reimburses people up to $500 for the cost of surgery. So as our foundation grows, we hope to increase that number, but we're actually helping pay for amputation surgeries, and those are an income qualified program that people actually apply for at tripawds.org. And Rene can tell you more about the cost.
The vet reimbursement one, anybody can apply for. You don't have to be income qualified for that. The surgery fund, you do have to be income qualified. And we have all of the criteria at tripawds.org. But amputation surgery is not cheap, and it really depends on the part of the country in which you live, but generally it's never less than $1,500. And if it is, you want to ask why. There are some places that will do it very inexpensively, like certain animal rescues and things like that. They'll hook up with a vet at a shelter. But for the most part, we've seen amputations cost as much as $3,500 to $4,000 if you live in an urban area and go to a specialty clinic. So we do have a section in our discussion forums where people can see what others have paid. We encourage people to list the price of surgery in a forum topic called amputation. What did you pay for your dog? What did you pay for your cat? But it's not cheap.
It really does run the gamut, though, depending on where you are and where you're getting it done. So we like to say it's not something you want to shop around for, which a lot of people tend to do, which is understandable. But, you want to make sure the dog has, 24-hour supervision and spends the night. And you want to make sure during surgery there's intubation and certain other technologies used that ensure a good outcome. Because
and we have information on our blog about what to look for.
I'm sure a lot of folks are going to be jumping on there and reading about it. And folks that are listening, don't do this just after the fact. I mean, this can really come up really quickly on any type of illness. So always stay educated on a variety of veterinary topics, and that way you know what's happening if something were to occur. If that limp is going on now, and you think, oh, he'll just shake it off. Maybe not. I encourage everybody to do their research. Rene, if you could, can you tell us what it means to be living in the now? I think Jim touched on a little bit earlier, but what are your thoughts on that?
Oh boy, it's a really popular catchphrase right now, and there's a reason for that. It's because we all need to just take a step back from our crazy lives and breathe, look around, and express some gratitude about what's right in front of you, whether it's your dog I'm looking at mine right now, and he's just sleeping peacefully on the floor, to the birds and the trees. It sounds kind of corny, but it's true. Living in the now means not worrying about the future. It means not looking back at the past. It means just kind of taking a few moments each day to appreciate everything right here, right now, as it is. And that is something that Jerry really taught us when he was living with the cancer. We thought he was dying from the cancer. And if Jerry could have talked to us directly in our language, he would have said, no, man, I am living with cancer. Look at me. I'm not freaked out about it. You shouldn't be either, because with or without cancer, we're never guaranteed a tomorrow. So let's just make the most of today. And that is my biggest takeaway from our experience with Jerry.
I so agree with you there. And, living a life with sled dogs and being around dogs every day of my life, I see that so often. They are 100% present. And I think if we just took the time to think a little bit more like a dog, I think that the world would be a little bit better place for sure, because they truly do live in the now. So let's jump over to the book. This is the one of the main reasons why we're on the air today. It's called Be More Dog, and I just got the copy the other day. I got a PDF copy from you guys, and I want to thank you. I haven't had a chance to read a lot of it, but Jerry, can you do us a quick synopsis? I'm sure we've talked a lot about quite a bit of it, but what was the reason for the book? How is it going in the process, et cetera?
So we really wanted to share Jerry's story to help inspire others about the lessons he taught us. The actual title, Be More Dog, comes from a keynote address we gave at a canine cancer conference years ago. Actually, it was long after Jerry left us, but we were speaking at a cancer conference, and we gave a talk all about how to cope with your dog's amputation, because your dog is really going to cope with it better than you. So you should really be more dog. Follow his lead, like Rene was saying earlier. And it covers the whole story, from the very beginning, from when we picked him up in the shelter, and he became, like I said, the chief fun officer of our business, and then when he got cancer, and how we decided to hit the road. But most importantly, those last 2 years. We thought he was going to live, 4 to 6 months, and it was 6 months when we hit the road, and he ended up living 2 years. And over those 2 years, I believe it was our lifestyle that helped him, give him the longevity he had, because every day was a new adventure. But for us, we were scared. I mean, we had sold everything, the business, the house, hit the road, didn't have an income, planned for a year off. And after about a year or so, we started to realize, Jerry was telling us, relax, man. Just, hey, what are we doing today? Let's go to Niagara Falls. Okay, let's go down and swim in the ocean. And we learned through him how important it was to just be present and aware and understand, it's a gift, and that's why they call it the present. That, he just overcame so many challenges and lived every day to the fullest, no matter what life was throwing his way.
Excellent. And where can folks get this? Is it for sale now? And if not, when will it be? And is it on Amazon, through your website, or where?
Certainly, it is available pretty much wherever books are sold. You can ask your local bookstore to order a copy or go to Amazon, but we encourage people to visit bemoredog.net because we have all the formats available. We have, different versions of ebooks for iBooks or Kindle Reader or PDF, the paperback, or you can get a signed gift edition that includes some other three-paw goodies. That's bemoredog.net.
And speaking of goodies in the book, I encourage folks that really love dog comics. I think that they'll really enjoy the introduction. I'm not going to say any more than that. Go out and buy the book for sure, and it will be the reason for the purchase for sure. Rene, we have just a couple more minutes left, and I know Jim just touched on this, but I want to hear your thoughts. You had mentioned that you pretty much sold everything and jumped in an RV and took off and pretty much saw the world. How difficult was that, living in that small of a space with a dog? Tell us about kind of life on the road with a dog in an RV.
It was a huge change. We went from a very large old Victorian house to a 24-foot RV. So 2 people, 1 German Shepherd, and a 24-foot RV. We're pretty back to earth back to nature kind of people. So camping and all that comes naturally to us. It really wasn't that big of a surprise. We enjoyed it. We felt like we had everything we needed in our little RV to have a good life together, and we did. And in fact, Jim and I are still living in an RV and moving around chasing good weather. We do that now with our current tripod Wyatt. So we love it. And, I know not everybody can do something like that, but if you ever get an opportunity, we encourage you to give it a try.
Excellent. Jim, final question here. I think I heard at the top that you guys also host a podcast. Is that right?
We do. Tripawd Talk Radio is a rather niche topic, but we interview oncologists and orthopedic surgeons and rehab specialists and pet owners with amazing three-legged dogs and cats. So I encourage anyone with a three-legged animal to check it out.
So I have to ask, as a podcaster, I've podcasted all over the country in all different locations. Give us a little bit of nuts and bolts. How are you guys doing this from the road?
We're kind of set up for it right now with our laptop via Skype and a microphone and headphones, but our mobile headquarters and studio changes all the time. So we may have a beautiful view of a river, or last couple summers ago, we were up in Alaska, and that was a little difficult with internet access, but we have satellite internet, so we can get online anywhere. But we may be in a busy RV park, and there may be some noise going on out, depending at the time. So it's always a challenge.
You sound good here, and I want to thank you very much for being on. Rene Agredano is our guest, along with Jim Nelson, and they wrote the book Be More Dog, and you can find out a heck of a lot more information with all of the links on the show notes. Guys, hang on just a second after we close so we can finish up here. But on behalf of my guest today, this is Robert Forto for DogWorks Radio. Be sure to check us out on social media, searching for DogWorks Radio, and also check out all of our episodes over on dogworksradio.com. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by First Paw Coffee Company. Learn more at firstpaw.coffee.
From First Paw Media, this is DogWorks Radio. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we invite you to subscribe in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find a link on the episode notes. You can tap or swipe on the episode cover art, and you'll see some offers from our sponsors. You can support our show by supporting them. If you like what you have heard, we would love it if you could give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe too. Your hosts are Robert and Michelle Forto. Our producer is Robert Forto and created for First Paw Media. Did you know that Alaska Dog Works trains service dogs for those in need throughout North America? Each and every service dog that is trained through the Lead Dog Service Dog Program and Michelle Forto and her team has an individual training plan. We train for autistic, mobility, psychiatric, and PTSD for our soldiers for service work. If you know of someone that may need a service dog, please take a moment and check out Alaska Dog Works on social media and at alaskadogworks.com.